This week on TGC News, a thicker stribog, Huxworks gets cheaper, a cheaper Glock clone, expensive lever guns, and the money guns are back. Welcome back to another episode of the Gun Collective News, the only gun news show that covers things that you actually care about. My name is John Patton. Hello, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Get subscribed if you're not already, because that would be freaking awesome. Let's kick this week off with a 10 mil, specifically one from a company called Grand Power, and the gun is called the Stribog SP10A3. Now, this was just released at an event over the weekend, but since they all suck at marketing, there's no images and no video from the manufacturer. That said, GB Guns has some footage of the non-US version to help us get there. Long story shorter, this is very similar to the SP9A3, but takes HK-UMP style magazines. That means there should, in theory, be some available. However, the only ones I've seen so far, the HK mags that are 10 mil, are around $120 per mag, which is insane. However, it might work with the 45 ACP mags, I don't know yet, which are a little bit more tolerable at around $50 to $70 a pop. The gun is said to ship with several options here in the US, with a pistol configuration, rifle setup with the ACR stock, and a thread protector and another version as well. And considering the long gun version of the 9mm tops out at around $1,650, this will likely be similar in pricing. The CMMG Banshee in 10mm is about $100 more and takes more affordable Glock mags, but only comes in pistol form. Now, the SP9 is a really fun gun to shoot, so I can imagine the 10 will be just as fun. But it's tough to say for sure without putting my hands on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this down in the comments. Would you rather have one in 45 ACP or 10 mil? Let me know. Gideon Optics offers affordability with some really solid features in optics like the Mediator with its selectable reticle system, which is an enclosed optic meant to take a beating. The Omega with its huge 27x22 window, RMR footprint, and 3 MOA dot, or the Alpha, which has a 65 MOA circle around a 3 MOA dot, again in the common RMR footprint. To learn more, head over to GideonOptics.com, and to make them even more affordable, use TGC at checkout. Next up this week is something from Huxworks. I still hate that company name. It's called the Ventom 762, and it's pretty interesting. The main idea here is that they've taken the fancy 3D printed flow-through technology and made a suppressor core out of it and shoved it into a tube-style suppressor. Instead of being one of those ultra-fancy, completely 3D printed cans like their Flow series, this is just the core. It is still printed from titanium, which is neat, and the tube is stainless. It also has their flash hider end cap and ships with a 5/8 24 direct thread mount. They're bragging about what they're calling the hub mounting system, but that just appears to be a way the can accept industry standard rear end muzzle device adapter things. So at the end of the day, you have a can that's easier to service and more flexible with muzzle devices. That's great. The weight on this thing is only 2.7 ounces heavier than their Flow 762 Ti, and that's pretty impressive to me. MSRP on the Flow is $1,684, which is bonkers, right? That's a lot of cash. Well, this new one is $996. That's way more tolerable and way closer to comparable other cans on the market. So, assuming it holds up to some abuse, that'll be one to watch. Also new this week is one from a company called Ermox, or Hermo X? I'm not sure. The gun is called the Xfire or Crossfire. Again, not sure. Bad naming. Long story shorter, this is an aluminum frame gun that uses Glock mags. I would call it a Glock clone, but it barely appears that way. It really doesn't look like a standard Glock clone. It is optic compatible, which is rad. It has some fancy speed holes in the slide, which is great.
Oh yeah, speed holes.
It also has some replaceable grip panels and even comes with two sets, black and red. And the kicker here is the price tag. MSRP is around $500, which isn't amazing, but every retailer I've seen so far has it at $350 right now. The footage you've been seeing over my shoulder is from our friend Mark, who runs the channel Fit and Fire. He is one of the first unbiased reviewers I've seen take a look at this thing, and he has a really cool video going through it and discussing the pros and cons. I will link that below. Be sure to go subscribe to his channel. I've had some experience with more expensive all-metal Glocks before, and they were either okay at best or just flat-out junk that wouldn't run.
No, I wasn't limp wristing. We tried multiple types of ammo, all had the same result. All right, let's top that off with the magazine release that tended to hang up on a lot of Glock pattern mags.
Okay, so I'm going to push the mag release from the other side. It does have like a very short travel.
Keeping things going, we continued on the struggle bus, and the gun actually started cycling reliably, which was right when the fiber optic tube decided to eject itself out of existence.
So if this thing holds up and runs well and it's priced only a tiny bit higher than the Dagger, it could be a contender. I couldn't find a deal of the week that was worth mentioning to you guys, so instead, I'm going to tell you about something else that's pretty rad in my mind. I know a lot of you guys are into being outdoors, overlanding, or just camping in general. Well, I'm going to be at Overland Expo East on October 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Mainline Overland booth, and I want you guys to come hang out with me. Of course, the Battle Wagon, my van build project, will be there on display, and this is going to be held in Arrington, Virginia. I'd love to see you there. There will be more info linked in the video description. Moving on this week, we have a new lever gun that is pretty cool looking. It's from a company called Petol, which is an Italian brand, and it's being imported by IFG, the same folks that bring in the FK Brno, among other things. This one is called the Drop Tine, and it's chambered in 30-30 Winchester, has a threaded barrel, and amazingly, an adjustable cheek riser on the stock. Hey Marlin, pay attention! The mag tube holds 4 rounds with 1 in the chamber, and it has a scout-style forward-mounted pick rail for an optic. Honestly, this is a really well-rounded setup, and I like the look of the light brown, they call it tobacco-colored polymer furniture. However, you do pay for such things. MSRP is $22.10. Ouch. And we also have something new from High Point, sort of. First, they've brought back a classic in a limited run, the 995 Classic Carbine, to be exact. It's a resurrected version of the OG carbine without some of the more modern looks in the furniture, if you could call them that from the current model. However, they did add a threaded barrel and a last round bolt hold open. MSRP on that is $333. And on top of that, High Point is also doing a limited run of the money guns. The C9 and 995 money guns are back, and they are exactly what you would expect. High Point's dipped in ridiculous money camo, and I need 5 of them. The pistol has an MSRP of $248, and the carbine is $436. It's like an iPhone release where the thing doesn't change much, but we all want one, right? Am I alone here? Bueller?
Bueller.
It's time once again for Friendly Fire. My question to you guys this week: what are the top 3 best things about being a gun owner? Sound off in the comments below, and if you want to ask a Friendly Fire question, send it via smoke signal.